Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Make him the cutest that I've ever seen. Give him two lips like roses and clover, and tell him that his lonesome nights are over. Sandman, I'm so alone, don't have nobody to call my own. Please turn on your magic beam. Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream.
Good evening and welcome to Nox Mente. Tonight's guest is Graham Dunlop, co-host of the Grimerica Show. Graham wants to live in a Star Trek future, one of spiritual enlightenment and impeccable human health. As a veteran podcaster, his journey in alternative media was sparked by a multi-witness UFO sighting that forced him to question the very nature of reality. He has recently petitioned Tim Hortons, which is the Denny's of Canada, to serve hashbrowns dusted with monatomic gold and coffee to go that is perfectly brewed for enema use. When he's not podcasting, tolerating Darren, or playing Dungeons & Dragons, Graham can be found sitting cross-legged in the desert or fervently digging in the vast subterranean crystal mines outside Vancouver. His favorite subjects include consciousness, spirituality, alternative history, and conspiracy facts. During his tenure, he and his co-host Darren have put out over 260 shows to date, or on a multiplicity of platforms. This makes Grimerica arguably one of Canada's largest alternative podcasts. Graham, welcome to the show.
Welcome,
hey, thanks, guys. Thanks
that
for having me.
That was a righteous intro. I'm all down with the
I
Canadian
stole most
Denny's
of it.
If they start lacing monatomic gold.
Yeah, really. I stole most of it from his website. So
yeah, it was good.
Yeah, thanks to our buddy Bill who wrote that guy up.
Yeah, it was really well done.
Yeah,
I hardly had to change anything.
In fact, when Jerry showed it to me, I said, "Jerry, this is the best one you've written."
and I said, I didn't write
it. So I was all game. All right, let's get up into this show.
All right. And welcome to everyone who is listening and watching. Thank you.
Hello, people out there. I'm not in the chat, as you know, but Jerry is. All right, so give us an idea of the world, young Graham, and the world you grew up in, the things that affected you, that kind of still stick with you, maybe some TV programming you had. Were you by big nature? Were you in the city?
Oh my God.
Just a general landscape, just give us your world. As a young
what kind of age are we talking about?
Young, like as early as you can remember.
As early as I can remember.
So we're setting up, basically what I'm going to do is kind of set up your early symbols that you kind of move through life with, your early programming.
Okay, so from the age of 1 to about 8, we lived in a little town close to the border in Quebec, like a really small town. And my dad used to commute to the city, like Montreal or close to Montreal, for work. So we had, Mom had a couple horses and a barn in the back, which I don't really remember much of the barn. And there was a little driveway that I thought had a pretty deep slope on it, but it was like very minimal. When I traveled back there like 30 years later, like I was like, is that the driveway that I used to rip down on a little cheetah, like one of those little like big wheel type things? So it was kind of like, adventure in the country as a kid. I remember seeing cow bones stuck in the fence, like in at the edge of our property or our neighbor's property, stuff like that, which kind of got scary. Like as I was exploring as a kid, exploring the property, found like, bones in the fence. I remember that clearly. And we were friends with some of the neighbors, and they were all older, and they would come over and swim in our pool. And so it was pretty, it was a pretty good childhood like that in terms of that. I broke my arm when I was 5 jumping off a little tiny trailer. It was a pretty bad break. Like little things like that. I got bit by a dog in the face. So there was a few little things like that, I guess. And I just remembered that the other day.
That happened to me once too.
Yeah, weird. It was like right up here. Yeah. So anyways, and then when we moved out west, that would be in 78. I was super upset. Like I seem to remember crying for like a week. So I had some friends there, and we used to play in the yard and other people's barns and stuff like that. And remember building snow. There's so much snow in the winter that we'd have snow forts on the side of the road. Like you could dig tunnels and build like 2-level forts and stuff in the snowbanks.
Oh, we did that. I loved it.
Yeah.
What about what TV stuff that from your early childhood? What influenced you? What did you like?
What is weird is I don't remember TV from back then. I remember TV from after I moved out west. And shortly after I moved out west, I remember being really obsessed by this real life Spider-Man guy who I think he was only on for like a few episodes. So I remember that clearly. And so it was the regular like Saturday morning cartoons and stuff like that as a kid.
Yeah.
What was your favorite cartoon?
Well, I didn't really have a favorite. We just I was all the typical ones, like the Looney Tunes and all that kind of stuff, and Tom and Jerry and all those. So I remember all those.
Do you remember the preview shows they used to have in the autumn? With like these are or like in late summer. These are the new Saturday morning lineup on cartoons. Do you remember that?
No, not at all.
Oh, Jerry, I do not either.
No.
Yeah, that was the best part of the year.
And then I guess I remember the typical like the weird family shows of the 70s, like like the Leave It to Beaver and
that was in reruns in the 70s.
Yeah, there was a bunch of them that were still in rerun probably. And then what were some of the other ones? Just those typical 70s like family shows, like really just.
Well, it says a lot that actually, and that's kind of what I'm going for is what influenced you at a deeper level. So it says a lot that you don't recall early stuff and that this stuff, even from this mid-kid range, is vague. So that's kind of what I was going at. What about religion? Were you brought up religious at all?
Protestant, and I do remember Sunday school a little bit, but my parents weren't really serious, but I did attend a few times and I didn't like it. Like I didn't like it, and I don't think we went for very long. So I do remember like a few of those, and it wasn't really a pleasant memory of church. Yeah. But they weren't really.
What was unpleasant about it?
I don't even know the feeling or the people. Like I don't know. I just remember not liking it.
That's good. I mean, that's not necessarily good, but it's interesting. Do you consider yourself religious now or spiritual or?
No, spiritual. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gathered that from just watching your show and your bio.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your bio. Are you Rh negative, Graham?
No.
You one of those. And also in our little top beginning segment, what sign are you?
Cancer.
Ooh, that's my favorite sign. Them tender cancers. All right, so look out. Well, once they let you in under the shell, until then it's hard knocks, baby. So tell us about how you dream. So the landscape, what things, how do you experience it? Is there color? Is it black and white, sound, all that stuff? The general vibe of your dreams.
Well, I was just thinking about that because I went back to listen to a bunch of recordings, and I wish I would have given myself more time. I didn't realize how many recordings I had on my phone from dreams, and I was thinking I don't have any reference to colors. I think I dream in color. I think for the most part, but I don't really recognize color or black and white and sounds. I think sounds would be in there. Those details are hard for me. It's more about the feeling and the it's always like an adventure in a way. That's the best way to sum them out is they're always adventure with people and weird places and weird situations and things going on. Like that's kind of like the landscape. And then there's a whole bunch of different levels within that.
So do you have like possibly an example of something, of a dramatic dream along the way we can chew on?
Yeah, well, one of the more recent ones that we talked about on the podcast was like I had this dream called Smoky Town or something, and there was this weird alien invasion that we were trying to stop. and this is, so it's not like I don't dream like this all the time, but this is one of the more deeper sort of sci-fi-ish adventure dreams where I'm part of this alien invasion type thing and we're trying to stop it and all this, and I'm flying away and we're fighting this thing and I'm flying away, and then I kind of teleport to this town that's too far ahead, and it's called Smoky Town, and I run up these stairs and there's guys smoking doobies in the top of it, and it's the weirdest dream because there's like combination like drugs and like alien invasion type stuff. So yeah, that would be one like recently that was kind of more of an adventure style. It had a little bit of a bunch of things in there.
When you came to and were processing it, what was the general vibe? Did it have any gravity besides being kind of sci-fi and interesting? Did it feel like inner stuff, or did it feel like you were getting a download of information?
Or were you remote viewing contact at the cabin?
Yeah.
Right.
Neither of those really. I mean, there was some deeper meaning to it, but I don't know why. So here's where the deeper meaning comes in a lot, is there's a theme of the dreams where I haven't had any drugs or alcohol for coming up on 10 years, but I still have the odd using or drinking dream, and it's like it's
lockup time. There he is.
It was.
I got you.
Welcome back, Graham.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so it's a typical like cliche dream where instead of it being like, because this happens with sex and stuff in dreams as well, where you're trying to, like, you're hooking up with somebody, you're trying to find a place to be alone. Like, you can't find a place to be alone. You're just like, you've found the ultimate mate or whatever, and it's connection, like this, truly deep connection or whatever. You're trying to like get involved in that, and you can't because there's people around or you're in the wrong place, and you have this like, it's like when you're trying to get away from somebody in a dream, you can't run. Mm-hmm. And then, so that's what happens with drugs and alcohol sometimes, is like, I'm dreaming that I'm getting high or drunk and I can't find a spot to do it, or it's not working properly, or like this. So there's that, the overarching theme of those types of dreams are weird like that, because it's like that your atypical dream of not being able to do what you're trying to do.
Did you, and so on this theme, I know you don't do these things now, but in the past, had you done psychedelics?
Yeah.
And did you have in those experiences, did you have any kind of, what was your best mind altering state of consciousness shift that you can recall? And what substance were you using?
But best as in?
The most profound.
Probably acid, I guess.
Yeah, it pops up a lot.
Yeah. Or mushrooms. But I mean, the problem was I didn't have enough reverence for it back then, and I was doing it for the wrong reasons, like more of in a party atmosphere. And I mean, although we always wanted to try to truly trip out, I was never giving it enough proper set and setting.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the same with me. It seemed like it was kind of more of a party thing, but then I always wandered off. So in you know how it goes. So how have any of your dream experiences at all ever echoed or felt similar to the mushroom or LSD experiences? Is there any continuity there?
That's a good question. I probably, for the most part, probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that I think is unanimous from everyone we talk to.
Wow.
Everyone says, yeah, it's and for me as well. So, but I just think it's interesting because we're talking states of consciousness, of which dreams are certainly in that field.
Right. Yeah, I would have thought the opposite. Yeah.
And then you can add in like astral travel plus NDEs are separate states that aren't like the drug state.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just
and
interesting.
on that, lead in with from Jerry, have you experienced these different states within within the tag of dreaming, like lucidity, out of body experience, astral projection?
Lucidity, for sure, but not astral projection.
And how does lucidity appear to you? How does it come on in your dream?
Usually flying would be like probably the dream sign that I had the most. And sometimes it was as I was just listening to some of these little recordings, as I was trying to become lucid. So I was doing this work in 2012, at the beginning of 2012, actually. I didn't realize I had so many little recordings, but I was doing a little voice record. I was trying to tape the dreams, and usually it was there's different levels of lucidity. Like I'd be almost lucid or semi-lucid in a lot of them, but not fully lucid that I could control it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but yeah, usually it would be a dream sign as in flying or something, and then I would realize I was dreaming.
And so at this point, when you are triggered to remember that you're dreaming, are you usually able to maintain that lucidity, or do you come to at that point to waking?
It varies. Sometimes I can maintain it.
Okay, cool. That's excellent. And then also with the flying aspect, how do you generally experience it?
As almost like it's a telekinesis type thing in a way. It's like powered by the mind, but floating on the current as well. Like so I could just jump and lift off and go off with and I could feel the currents and the wind and but I would have to focus concentration in order to stay. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you get going really good, and then sometimes you just start faltering and
yes,
and falling, and it was just about, I think it was somewhat just about willpower or something.
And so with this often comes with this kind of stage of dreaming. Have you experienced sleep paralysis?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm surprised to hear that, Graham.
Yeah.
And then also kind of right here in this segment, have you received any feedback from others around you that you're a sleep talker or a walker?
No. Talking sometimes, maybe a little bit more, like mumbling and moving around in bed, but not actually getting up and doing anything. No.
So when you've been lucid, I want to get into some of your lucid stuff. Have there been any disturbing experiences?
No.
Have you experienced what you consider others in the dream that are not you, or part of your unconscious?
No, I don't think so. I tried to do that. But part of my goal was to try and get to that point where I ask my higher self, or ask the one consciousness some questions or something, interact with that. But I don't think by the time I get lucid, I'm having so much fun in my dream. I mean, part of the reason why I think that I don't get fully lucid is because I'm content where I'm at, and most of the time I'm content in my dreams with whatever's going on. But some of the goals were to interact with some sort of higher consciousness or myself, but it never really got to that stage.
And then, okay, and now just looking back at the general dreams that not necessarily lucidity plays a part in over your life, have you experienced any kind of the darker shades, the scary nightmare, night terrors?
No.
Did anything stick out at all?
No, even when I have a nightmare, it's not really scary. Like I really rarely get scared in my dream. It's like it could be a dark dream, but I'm just not feared by it for some reason.
So do you so it seems like you might actually confront whatever it is that could turn into something out of your control, which is where most people find fear.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I guess now that I think about it, I have had dreams where I'm trying to run away with people, and I have had nightmares I was just thinking about one now where I'd be running away and then I'd have to turn around and like use the power of my mind to like stop them or shoot them up in the air and then run further away and then turn around and like sort of use this. So I guess that was probably, I was running in fear there. I guess there is some, but it still doesn't feel like the type of terror that I think other people feel for some reason. Like it's just not really that deeply scary. Like it's more of an adventure, like in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely getting that from you. And just the fact that you actually turn around and confront it or halt it suggests a lot of control.
Oh,
do you
right.
like to have a lot of control? Are you a control person in your life?
I try not to be. I don't think so. I don't think I am. No, I don't think so. I mean, I really try and go with the flow more so, like in sort of leadership positions or managing people and stuff like that. I really try and give the autonomy to people and not to micromanage and control things. But I don't know. I'd like to know what other people say about that because I could be wrong. But
Oh, concerning you. Yeah, you sound well grounded. Your dreams really seem to be actually reflecting that.
Yeah.
What about, this is one of my favorite experiences. Have you ever had the wet dreams? The nasty sexual ones? Maybe they don't have to be nasty. That's me interjecting.
But that comes back. I'm sure I have when I was younger, but that comes back to that
searching,
that theme of trying to have that happen and never being able to get there. Like that was kind of like but I'm sure it did happen when I was younger a few times. But, as I'm older, it would never, I would be trying, but it would never come to that, like, physical.
Yeah. Oh, that's too bad. They are wonderful. Yeah. So I think sometimes better than the real thing. So what about what some people call dreaming true or prophetic dreams that have been like a little bit of a crystal ball where you later realize you're doing something, you later realize that, oh, I had dreamt this, or, that kind of thing?
Not directly. I feel like that could be where deja vu comes in, but I don't connect it to a specific dream. But I haven't actually had deja vu for a while, I don't think. But no, so I don't really have that type of dream, and I've been able to go back and directly say, not that I can remember anyways, that I can say, I dreamt that would happen or this type of thing.
When you have had deja vu in the past, what have you been able to ascertain from it? What do you pin it to?
That maybe I either foresaw that happening in the future through a dream or through a precognitive event, or I just strictly like dreamt that it would happen. Or maybe that it was even in just some sort of parallel lifetime. Then there's that's like some sort of connection or bleed through of the two where, we're both doing that at the same time in some sort of concurrent life, or I don't know, something like that. Could be either of those, maybe.
What do you think about reincarnation? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's there's a lot of evidence showing that that's a possibility. There's probably more evidence showing that that's the reality than the other way around.
Which is the other way around, which is
as in just dying and
nothing.
And nothing afterwards. Well, I guess there's a few different levels. I mean, there's life after death and reincarnation are different, but I would say that it's a possibility.
Do you think if one is reincarnated and you're having your Graham life right now, that it's possible that through dreams you're able to tap into your other lives?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. I never know. And actually, this is not something I generally ask on the show, right, Jerry? It's kind of a new.
Yeah, well, there seems to be some correlation, and I think it's like DNA storage kind of thing. Like you get to access it when you're dreaming.
Yeah,
that's how
you
can
like DNA memory kind of thing too. Yeah.
Kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or there's a lot of ways to go with that one. So.
I've had a couple of past life regressions before, and I mean, there's definitely, why if I can regress there in waking life, I'm sure I can go back and dream.
After you had those regressions, did you have dreams that you recall?
I don't recall.
Oh, that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
What about, okay, so what about, I know I asked this earlier, but I guess I'm asking it now kind of in a more of a blanket question though. Downloads from dreams. So where you've been studying something in school or in life, and then you start dreaming about it and it actually makes you better, or you picked up a skill this way, or it could be something crazy like information from something else not related that you end up needing.
No, I don't think that I have that many of that type. I have sports dreams, but they're more of that, back to that theme of like not being able to do your, like it's almost like the opposite of learning the skill. It'd be like, why can't I use the skill like I normally can? You know, that kind of thing.
Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so and then also in this section, I know that you, when I asked about your general dream landscape, I didn't ask specifically about this though. So how do you experience, and it seems with people who are more feeler types, which you seem to be, do you experience sound in any kind of intense way, like that stereo kind of sound that can happen?
In a dream?
Yeah.
Not that I know of. I'm not too aware of how sound seems in my dreams.
Yeah, for me, those will always stick when it happens. It's a stick out. Generally, it's kind of in the background, but the ones that are like, I had a sci-fi one, like you were talking about Smoky Town. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
That was very similar to that, not that long ago, and the sound was incredible, and it stuck with me when I woke up. It was like in stereo in my head. It was so crazy. The whole dream was, the alien invasion was crazy in that dream.
Yeah, actually, I have had one where I believe where there's been massive craft coming down. I believe that there's a lot of sounds in those type of dreams, like those kind of apocalyptic dreams have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and what's interesting about that kind of dream for people, you're not you're not a religious person. You didn't really get that indoctrination, nor did I. And then there, people like us, those kinds of dreams are always, it's interesting when that stuff pops up,
Yeah.
because you didn't get that programming.
Yeah.
But then we're front loaded by everything, I suppose.
Yeah.
We talk about the woo.
Yeah.
So, all right, what do you think? Oh, and also one last thing in the dream landscape. Do you have any recollection of being able to read words or glyphs or numbers?
Yep. I read a number once. I remembered it from my dream, a phone number from my dream once.
Oh, wow.
And
Did you call it?
Woke up and I woke up and I called it, and it was this weird thing. Like there was no. Now I don't remember what happened. So it wasn't like out of service, and it wasn't a voicemail. It was just like for some reason I couldn't get through. So it wasn't like a normal thing that happens when you phone. That's all I can.
Right. Oh, how strange. Do you remember any of that dream besides that phone number?
No, not now. I don't.
That's cracking me up though. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. 8675309.
Yeah.
All right. I know I'm well aware that some people will have no idea what that reference is.
Jenny.
Yeah, Jenny, I've got your number. So I want to get into this is kind of where I thought I was going to go with you anyway. I want to get into your ideas about these things, your thoughts. So what do you think the nature of dreaming is, aside from the daily unpacking of your life, the deeper stuff?
I don't know. I think there's multiple layers. Like, I feel like there's layers of, like, sometimes I'll have a dream where it's a super deep layer, and it's almost like different dimensions, and you're in that really clear, vibrant, intense dream dimension. And then I think there's, levels below that where you're in there and you're barely remembering it, or you're barely you're kind of barely dreaming, but you're in there. So I feel like there's different levels, and I honestly feel like there's something to it. Like, I believe I've done enough reading on dreams and research in the last few years, like not recently, but where there's enough people that can get connected and there's enough weird stuff that can happen during dreams that there's some sort of interdimensional connection that I think can happen. So I think you could probably access the realms that Jerry was talking about, like maybe similar to NDEs or OBEs or whatever. I mean, maybe there's some bleed through overlap with that, and maybe you can, precognitively predict the future and all these different states. So I think you can learn, I think there's a dimension where, like you said about downloading and learning stuff, like you could become lucid and practice things, and your body and your mind don't know that the difference between practicing in lucidity compared to practicing in real life. I mean, I think that's a possibility. So I don't know if I'm answering your question, but I feel like there's, in the adventure dream setting that I have, there's different levels for sure. Like some are profound and some are just sort of a normal kind of adventure dream.
So let's look at the profound, more collective stuff where you could be accessing other people within these states of consciousness. So whether that be there's so much different language that could be applied. We could apply digital language. So the dreams where, say, I know you said you don't have these. I want your thoughts on this, where people meet up. So like in the olden days, it'd be like classical witches' sabbats where they'd actually meet up astrally, or, and now a lot of dream groups people are meeting up and coming back with their recall. What do you think that is? And these people, there's a lot of conviction within these experiences. I have experienced them. They feel just as real as this. What do you think that is? There's kind of like a bilocation or non-locality to those.
Yeah, I think there's, I think it's back to that sort of interdimensional thing I was thinking of I think, and I don't know if it's the same as, are you astral traveling in your dream or are you just in there in the dream state? Like, I don't know where you separate all that, but it could be very similar to that. Like if I was to stay awake and astral travel, could I join up in one of those groups, or is that a completely different layer? That's what I would want to know, is like, where's that line,
Wouldn't we all like to know that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sagely said. So, well, I think that there are a lot of people that talk about techniques, and I haven't encountered any that seem foolproof from all the people I talk to about these things. And so I think for me, speaking personally, the biggest liftoff at all is if you get lucid. And once you're lucid, and if you just get past the state of enjoying the lucidity, which I think is a very enjoyable experience also, then you can push off into maybe the astral projection and the other facets of this multidimensional experience. What do you think? Okay, so what do you think that the waking life is? What is this to you in context to states of consciousness, such as dreaming and memory and death?
I mean, it could be a dream. Yeah. And then maybe the reality is more of the astral realm, energy living on through different physical experiences. And this is just one of these, you're stuck in this linear time scale physical experience. It's kind of what it feels like to me, is that this is just a spiritual experience in a human body.
Mm-hmm. When you're having your lucidity in dreams, does it feel as real as this to you?
Oh yeah, dreams in general feel real as this to me. Like, for the most part, most of the time when I'm dreaming, like, it's pretty real.
Yeah,
That's
I
what's
agree.
so amazing about it, is like, how is my mind creating this completely different world with all these details and all these scenarios? And I mean, the creativity is just off the hook. And I'm like, how did my brain pull, even if this was all from stuff I which I would claim that it's not from stuff that I've just learned about or heard about or ever seen in life. Like I feel like our brains, or I'm pulling in something, or I'm experiencing something that I've never experienced before, at least in this life that I can remember. So how do we pull all that stuff together into an experience that's just so creative and detailed and new and fresh? It's like I've never, some of it is easy to say, oh, it's day residue from, I talked about this yesterday, or I talked about this today, and it sort of creates this experience based on that conversation or that thought or whatever. But so much of it is not that.
Do you and this again is comprehensive across your life of dreaming. Have you encountered similar? So like I go, and it's easier just to give an example. Like I go there, I have a house I go to, but it's always different, but it's still the house. It's still like my house. And there are places I go that they change, but it's the place and it's familiar and I know it. Do you have these kinds of familiar places?
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's a cityscape, or a city, like a highway kind of thing, or and then there's other things where it's a place that I'm familiar with, and I don't know if it's imagined or from dreams or from my childhood, like the past.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I know places, and I don't know where I know them from.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's the trick there.
And there's even a comfort in these. Sometimes it's even a feeling and a comfort of like a comfort or a smell or a feeling, and I'm like, that's something like content or peaceful or like loving, but I don't know where it's from. Like, where is that feeling, that vibe, that energy from? Is it from like a point in this current life that I can't really remember, or is it a dream, or is it another? Yeah, it's so weird.
It's magical. I find. Well, it's like we talk about this often, but like, how can you discern memories, especially the further back they are from actual dreams you had? What it's like?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's interesting. So the familiar things. Also, have you had anything besides this familiarity? Have you had anything that reoccurred that was like an energy or a drama or scenes that reoccur besides familiar places? So like the Groundhog's Day kind of thing.
Yeah, I think I have, but I'm trying to remember. I can't remember what they are now. I have had some recurring ones, but yeah, I'm not too sure. Just that recurring theme every now and then about whether it's about sex or using or drinking or whatever. That's that type of thing. But no, there is probably more of a recurring one, but I can't remember what it is now.
And then, so what are your feelings on? So this comes back into waking life, but also dreams play into that. What do you think about this state of death from our perspective here, since we have this perspective, and it's kind of we're talking from what we're viewing as waking life? What do you think that is it a state of consciousness? Is it a traveling experience? Is it the brain dying? Like death, and then all the stuff that goes with death, so ghosts and all that.
So not just the moment of death, but where you go afterwards?
Yeah, so the whole thing, because I think of death as more than just maybe a opening of a door. I think that I think I view it as kind of similar to birth, but since you already suggested that past lives maybe that you feel that's probably what's going on, then it's not just the moment of death. What is death, the experience beyond the moment? I don't know if I'm making myself clear.
Yeah, you are. I'm just trying to figure out how to word it, because my mind's going all over the place. Because I feel like it could be what is described in NDE, that it's true love, one love, that whole oneness. That also similar to the psychedelic experience, like some people having that ultimate, ayahuasca experience or something like that. But then I thought about my dad and how he has visited my sister a couple times after he's in her dreams, and I wonder
Oh.
if death is that experience of light and oneness and love, then what happens? Then how are you able to hang around as a spirit guide or helping people out? Like, my dad has been a part of my sister and I's life after death, for sure, to a certain extent, but not all the time. So is he like, part-time watching over us kind of thing? And then when will he reincarnate, if he does, to someone else? Like, or is that energy of my dad always going to be there, even though it's also going to reincarnate? Those are
Mhm.
sort of some of the things I would say. Like, it's I do think that whole Monroe Institute soul rescuing program type stuff, like, there's almost something to that. There are people that can be trapped because of how they died or things that they left undone in life, or and that could be where the ghost thing as well comes in, where there's that residual emotional energy left over from physical life, and maybe that's just a sort of like stuck in a loop. Because it's easy just to say ghosts are not, the living dead, but there's enough weird evidence that shows that it could be some sort of residual energy.
Yeah. So how long has it been since your papa has passed?
Uh, I think it's been 15 years, maybe 14 years.
Okay, so substantial.
Yeah.
Did you have has he popped into any of your dreams?
Yeah, occasionally. Not very often though, occasionally. But the ones where he popped into it, my sister's, it was profound. Like, he took her on a journey through space kind of thing, and he told her about, like, she had a whole experience with these spirit guides and my dad and them showing her The Secret, and then it
Oh, wow.
turning into that movie and all this stuff, and like that she has to watch it. Like, it was pretty profound. And then she in turn sort of got me to watch that movie, which there's a whole like connection there between that experience of hers helping both of us. But so he's been there a couple times for her, like, with weird direct experiences like that.
When he's shown up in yours, can you give us an example of how that's generally played out?
Just usually as a peaceful, loving sort of energy or person, like, but it's usually pretty fleeting and it's usually pretty rare. So I almost feel like he doesn't need to be there, so he doesn't spend his time there or something like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Has it been in the same like space, or was he in another space
Same
from you?
space. Yeah, same space. Yeah.
Interesting. I love to hear that. Has he been the only person that's passed that that's come to Dreamland, to you through Dreamland?
No, I actually, one of the ones I just listened to, my old cat was there, and I was saying so I had all these recordings that I went through before this, and I should have spent more time with them. I didn't realize how many I had. So this is starting in like 2011, at the end of 2011, I believe. And then I was doing them almost every day. So I would set my iPhone there because I tried writing them down,
Uh-huh.
and it just
No, I have to record.
It's a disaster. So
Yeah.
so it'd take me like 10 times the amount of time, and it'd just be scribble that I couldn't even read. So I
Yep.
started recording it down, and it actually, so it doesn't go back as far as I thought. So it goes back to like March 2012, these ones. And then I do it pretty consistently for a few months, and then it sporadically kind of goes away, and then it's just the odd time. And I should really get into doing that again. But one of them was saying that my old cat that showed up might have been a dream sign, because when Dakota, my old cat, showed up, I became lucid.
Really? So Dakota shows up, and at the moment when Dakota shows up, you actually go lucid.
Yeah, and I don't know if I went lucid because the cat showed up, like, but I definitely in my recording said that could be one of my dream signs. So.
This is I'm actually making a note of this right now. because I keep forgetting to ask animal stuff. I find profound experiences with animals, my animals, in dreams. So is Dakota the only one that's popped into your dreams?
Yeah,
Of
that I
your,
can think of. Yeah.
I find those fascinating. They I don't know why. I want to know more about this one. So
Yeah.
you've just given us all that. Okay, that's cool. I think we should see about questions from the chat.
All right. So anyone have any questions? You can call in. I got to put on the cool thing.
Actually made some real notes this time, Graham. Animals is a big deal. I'm gonna start getting into more of those with people.
Yeah, that was weird.
It's the fact that you went lucid too fascinates me.
Yeah, totally. Like maybe there's a connection there.
With Dakota, how close were you with Dakota? Was that your cat?
Yeah, he was pretty cool. Yeah. He's
Yeah.
I think he was a part Mancoon, part Tabby or something.
Oh man, I love those big cats. The Maine Coon.
Yeah, super cuddly.
Mm-hmm.
Were we just talking about that the other night? Or was it last week? Never mind.
Wait, who was that?
You and I, about big cats.
Oh, maybe. Yes.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
of course, big pussies.
Well, no, actual cats.
I know,
Okay,
John.
yeah.
Sorry, we're talking Bengals and stuff. But, no, I'm just
Right, I wanted a baby Bengal cub as a pet. I thought it would be cool.
Yeah,
Then we talked about meerkats, remember?
Yes. Yes.
What, Graham?
No, it'd be cool as a baby until it gets older, and then
Yeah, watch your curtains.
Yeah, you can't. They're not domesticated.
So I like that you.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, Nomad's got a question.
I just saw a question from him.
Hi, Nomad. By the way,
Do you want to finish your question?
I just wanted to mention that the way I've done my dream recording too is I have to record. I can't read my writing anyway on a normal day, and it's terrible. And recording is such a great tool. You can get up and talk. It doesn't matter. You can be groggy, and you get the basic outline of what's going on. And so I had never used a phone. I always had would run down and get to the computer, but that's seriously. Good.
So it's a very good tool. So I'd have my phone open on voice memos already. So I would just click my phone open, and it would be in voice memos, in voice memos, and all I had to do is reach record and then talking to it.
And so when you were in the flow of doing that, because that's even more fluid than me running to my laptop, which I could have had by me, but I didn't. When you were in the flow of doing that, did you find any enhancement in your dream experience?
Yeah, I think I was dreaming. I mean, this was every day I was remembering one at least.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I've been remembering them since the beginning of this 2018 for some reason, more so. They've been more profound and remembering more of them. It seemed to click into gear right at the beginning of 2018. But in general, I really need to pay attention to recording them in order for me to remember more of them.
Yeah.
But going back and listening to these, like, I don't remember half of them. Most of them I don't even remember. I'm like, holy, I don't remember.
Well, that's what's alarming is these experiences, we have them and they can be so profound and intense when we're in them, especially lucid. And then you don't, they're gone. But then look at how much you don't remember from your life. Really.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of, I don't know, there's something kind of alarming about that.
Would you ever wonder if we remember way less if we're not present? Like if we're not present, can we remember that moment, or are we just remembering our thoughts? Like, I mean, does that really affect your overall memory if you're always in your head thinking about other things?
Yeah, I ponder this too, and I don't know. It's also strange. Well, this whole idea of time too. Like, look how fast everything seems to move. Even bad stuff, like recently for me at least, seems to not bad, but less pleasant. Everything's just seeming to move fast, and the memories are speeding up. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've lost all short-term memory.
Yeah,
so everything's happening so fast. So I wanted to actually chime in on your 2018 shift over. Everyone that I'm talking to right now, most everyone, is talking about intense dreams. And of course, I always have intense dreams, but they've really amped up. And with strangeness, like high strangeness in the dreams. So I wonder if this eclipse full moon that we went through, if it's some of the more woo-woo stuff we talk about with the rubber band, that Jerry, I don't know what you call that theory with rubber band.
Well, I was in chat. What?
I think Graham knows what I'm talking about, though, with time, with the rubber band snapping back. And
that was Walter Bosley talked about that last week. It was an analogy of I've said it too. That basically the time, if there has been a delay in time of any type, technological or whatever, that it's stretching this rubber band, and now that that's over, it's snapping back, so it's coming back faster.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so, and we're picking up all this data faster, and it's bleeding through into dreams also.
Yeah. What does it have to do with the great year as well, and circling around past through 2012 and through the end of the great year or the beginning of the new one? Or I mean, I wonder if that's...
There's a narrative out there that says that they, quote unquote, I'm doing the air quotes, everyone, they have stopped at 2012. They basically put pause on, or they repeated the years because they're not ready for whatever was supposed to happen. So they saved us from, maybe it was a cataclysmic event or something that has been pushed off by, quote unquote, them, right? And that is no longer happening. So that's why the future is coming back quickly. But the same narrative, that these same people also say that that time is a loop and that the future is actually the past. And I've even heard one guy say that Atlantis is now because of the loop structure. So it's pick your crazy theory and go with it, because it seems to be what happens.
Yeah.
But as we're beating together stories from other people, though, there's things that are coming to the surface that seem to be congruent, and like this intense amount of dreaming for people that usually don't dream that's happening, and this strangeness with memory and whatever people want to call that, and with time shifts and Mandela and all that stuff. There's some high strangeness that's actually surfacing that looks to be connected, and by people across the board, not just us people looking down dark alleys.
That's interesting.
So you saying these dreams have turned on since 2018, it's just one of those little beads that surfaced for me as an investigator of this stuff.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad I corroborated something.
More than that, Graham, more than that. So what questions do we have, Jack?
All right, so from Nomad, if I could find the damn thing. It was a good question, too. Of course, didn't put it in uppercase.
Dang it, Nomad.
Nomad, where are you? I was past the owl. I was watching Carrie Cassidy today with...
I saw that.
Jordan Maxwell.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, I can't read.
That?
It was uninformative. Nomad, where did you go? Well, Nomad, if you're listening, ask it again, because I lost it. I'm sorry. Darcy wants to know what's with the Moai. Where did that come from?
The original episode. So here's an interesting thing. So Red Pill Junkie did our episode art when we started the podcast, because we had met him before and we were in touch with him and some other people. We got this started. So he came up with this episode art, and I had sworn I had seen that art before somewhere. And I said to him, I was like, that's fantastic art. That's perfect for the show. Like right off the bat, I don't think any changes to it. Even with the UFO and the headphones and all that. And of course we were at like an Ancient Aliens type conference when we met Red, and when Darren and I decided to start up the podcast. So that's where, that came from, sort of that conference. Because I think Easter Island was one of the, it was probably one of the topics there. anyways, and he says, no, I just made it up because I thought he had got the art from somewhere and he had just made it up. And I had that feeling that I had seen that before. I had seen that whole art before. So that was pretty cool.
That's a deja vu.
Yeah, I kind of took that as like a good sign.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not a shitty one. Okay, that's that. I went back and looked again. What do you think about geomancy and ley lines? That's from Lee.
It's funny. I heard something recently, somebody debunking ley lines, but I think that there's something to it. I really do think there's and I don't know if it's more about water or some other type of grid, like the whole portal situation and how some areas are, maybe the veil is thinner there in some areas, but it's definitely an interesting topic. I think there's a ley line close to us in Calgary up north here somewhere, like a few hours away that I've been meaning to. You know what? I wonder if that's where we go on our Lucidity trips. Somebody said there was a ley line northwest of us, like an intersection. I wonder if that's close to where we.
You just reminded me.
What? So what SETI trips?
No, we do like
SETI.
we
I
do
forgot
some
about
like
that.
SETI stuff where we go out and like meditate and on contact, try and make contact, kind of thing.
I wanted to
interesting.
ask a question about that, and I want to talk more about that later. But
Okay.
specifically, when you're in this SETI trance state or whatever happens, is that different from dreaming, or is it another? Is it just an heightened awareness, or how would you categorize
it's more
that?
like meditation / remote viewing, like trying to get into that
Okay.
deeper state of meditation. Yeah.
All right, Nomad's back. Thank you, Nomad. Okay, his question. That was a good question. What's your spirit animal?
It's a boar.
A boar.
And I tried, and this only comes from a couple meditations that I was doing. One of these group meditations, and one of them was like find your spirit animal or whatever. So, and you never know, right? When I was doing meditation, I'm like, did I really just make that up, or like, how do you know if you're making stuff up or it's truly coming to you? So, anyways, I had the boar came to me, and I was like, oh, come on, this can't be the boar. It's got to be something cooler than that. So I kind of tried to get back into meditation, and then again, like it just keeps popping up. So I'm like, okay, so I just accept that maybe it's the boar. And then another time when we did that same type of like spirit animal thing, it came up again. So I mean, it's come up for me twice in 2 meditations, and I mean that even sounds weird to people probably that haven't really gone through the process. Everyone would say, "Oh, it came up for me." I'm like, what do you mean it came up for me? Like, what do you mean it came up? How does it come up for you? But it does. It enters your mind, and you have like, compared to everything else that's kind of stuck in your mind. So
Boars are intense.
What,
They're badass.
What's your
Yeah, and
Chinese
then when I read
astrology
it-
animal?
I don't know what it is actually. Can we figure that out?
Yeah, which
Yeah,
book
by
is-
year.
which-
Yeah.
what month and year?
Which you don't have to say, so you can type it in chat.
July 11th, 1970.
Chinese animal.
And that's specific, so it should be like wood or
Mhm.
water, whatever.
It's an earth dog. No, I'm sorry.
Earth
That's
dog.
wrong. That's wrong. Metal dog.
Metal dog?
Mhm. Yep. Metal dog.
I
That's
can
a-
see boar though, Graham. I'm picking some of that up off of you for sure.
When I read the whole definition thing, I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool. I could see that."
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're pretty intense.
I mean, I don't know now off the top of my head. I mean, I'd have to read it all again, but
It's crazy. All right. I think there was one more question. Oh yeah. It's from Glitch Tech. Has Darren ever been in one of your dreams?
I think he was in the Smoky Town dream. I think he was like probably one of the ones on the stairs smoking up in the Smoky Town dream.
Dude. His name Smoky Town is killing me.
So you answered that. Okay, that's all the questions we have. I don't think anyone's called in. Nobody called in. All right. Well, that's all.
Right. We have our sweet new call-in number.
That goes unused. It's awesome. Well, that's all I got.
That's our Nox Mente, so stay on the line there. Stay on the line, Graham.
Nice.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you everyone for listening, watching, hanging out in the chat. Mick Smokerton in Smoky Town, Darcy. Next week we have, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. I'm going to ruin this, but Tamu Njina?
Yes.
Or is it Wina?
It's I actually don't know how you pronounce her last name, but Tamu. She's
Tamu.
amazing though. Her channel's awesome.
She's a holistic artist, so she should be real interesting. And we've got great stuff planned for March and April. So
thank you, Graham, for being here.
Thank you, Graham. Oh, Graham, do
And-
you want to plug anything?
Yeah,
Yes.
just check out the podcast, Grimerica.ca, the Grimerica Show podcast. Yeah.
And there's links for all that in the chat, plus their donate page, I think. Not the donate page, Black Budget page. All right.
Yeah, it's been a real fun journey, and it's been great meeting people like yourselves.
Likewise.
for having me
Likewise.
on.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
coming
everyone
on.
in the chat.
All right.
Big kisses.